Good morning, everyone. This is Jeffy Kennedy, author of Epic Fantasy Romance. I am here with my first cup of coffee. Excellent. Today is, say it with me, Friday. Woo! August 19th, beginning of a long weekend for me. Flying to Tucson tonight, celebrate birthdays with the family. Should be fun. Uh, Writer coffee yesterday was a lot of fun. It turns out that one of my writer coffee peeps, the fabulous J. Barton Mitchell, Jack, who's got the wonderful podcast. I should pimp his podcast. Hang on. Yeah, that's it. It's called Derelict. They're in the second season of Derelict. I interviewed him on here a while back, um, and it's doing amazing. He was telling us yesterday that they just sold the French translation rights for the podcast. So go Jack. So anyway, it turns out that Jack's birthday is on Sunday, the 21st, as is the fabulous Dorinda Jones. She is on Sunday, and then I'm on Monday. So we're our little cluster of Leo writer babies. Although I am on the cusp, Leo Virgo. So I have been described as a meticulous volcano. And I mentioned that when Jack was thinking, "Are you on the cusp of?" And I said, "Yes, I'm a meticulous volcano." And they were both like, "That's actually tracks." I'm like, "Thanks, guys." I guess there are worse things, right? Grapes are falling. My grapevine kind of came unraveled too. That's why it's sort of dangling in screen if you're on video. I need to wind it up again, but it's not going to happen till I get back. We should harvest grapes too, but I eat them occasionally. They're quite delicious. Sweet, so sweet. So, anyway, Writer Coffee was lovely. We had a great conversation. Uh, Jim Sorensen had just gotten back from a Transformers conference in England where he was a headliner. And so he was telling us about that. And so he was pretty high on that. It's always fun when you get to be treated like a fancy person. I did come out here early this morning and light the mosquito candle, but it's cooler today. In fact, I was wondering, excuse my hand. Here, I'll pause. Yeah, it's only 55 degrees. We had kind of cold air come in last night, so there's a definite autumnal feel this morning. Um, oh, I might sneeze. There we go. Uh, Longtime listeners, at least from last year, may remember the debate about autumnal, an autumnal feel to the air. So yeah, it's cooler, and so there are not nearly many mosquitoes this morning. In fact, I haven't seen any, even though I came out and lit the candle early to try to create a dispersing miasma. Because it was very funny yesterday. If you're on video, you saw me constantly batting them away. And YouTube, when I upload the video, they pick 3 stills to be like the cover image. And I can choose between those 3, but otherwise I can upload an unrelated image. But if I want an image of me sitting here yapping, then it has to be one of the 3 that they pick. And they tend to pick things that are movement. They like things that are bigger movements. So I have to remember to like not mess with my hair because otherwise there will all 3 be me raking my hair back from my forehead, which my characters do all the time for a reason, people, because it's clearly one of my personal ticks. But yesterday's were all me waving mosquitoes away. So I had to pick the least absurdly waving of mosquitoes image. So it goes, right? So yeah, let's see what else. I did get my 2,000 words yesterday. I'm at something like 62,000 on the book. I'm enjoying writing this book. That's always nice. And but it took me a little while since I was at Writer Coffee for a couple of hours. And then I reader did not go to yoga. I know. I ended up canceling. I just got hit with the don't wannas. Um, I have to get back in that habit, but it's so much a thing that by because yoga class, the one that I like to go to on Thursday afternoons, is at 4, and by the time it starts rolling around to 3 o'clock, and I have to cancel an hour ahead, so I have to make a decision by like around 2:45, and at that point, I'm just feeling like all I want to do is not have some fun until the sun goes down on Santa Monica Boulevard because that's all the way over in California. But what I really want to do is like sit with my book um, and relax. And so that's what I ended up doing. Bad yoga person. But it was a nice evening, and I hit tired yesterday afternoon. That's the other thing is like by Thursday afternoon I'm hitting tired. So my other options are to go in the morning. There are some like 10 a.m. classes I could go to, which means I would have to like interrupt the writing for something other than writer coffee. But maybe I'll do that. I don't know. What was me? I know I'm such a ritualized person. Here's my that's the meticulous part of meticulous volcano. I just don't like my schedule to be interrupted, and now that that's no longer part of my schedule, yeah. So anyway, um, the other thing I've been doing, interestingly enough, I find it interesting. Do you guys, do you all ever worry about this? Like, I read this thing a long time ago that people who think that they are interesting conversationalists are not, whereas people who think that they are not interesting conversationalists actually are. Most of the time, I think I'm not that interesting, but every time I say that I that something is interesting, then I worry. It's like, oh, is it actually not? It's a way to really freak yourself out. There's a hummingbird behind me. Yeah. Oh, over here. She's getting the nasturtiums. Get that naturally made nectar. So, oh, and now have I forgotten the thing that's oh, okay. So it's probably not interesting, but I'm going to tell you anyway. So after several reads that ones that I enjoyed for the most part, one uh I read book one and really loved book one and went on to book two, and I I hated book two. Um, the characters seem to have like the main characters from the first book, the POV characters, uh, seem to have like totally changed into different people and doing things that didn't feel like they were part of their character motivations. And the people who had taken over the POV, I didn't care about them. And I got partway into it and I thought it was feeling like a slog, and I read for pleasure. I don't read when I'm not having fun. And so I went and looked at the reviews just to see like if it was going to get better, if it was just me. And there were a lot of reviews saying exactly the way I felt about it. And then complaining about that the ending was so disappointing. And I thought, okay, I'm bailing. So I bailed on that book. And the first book, part of the reason it was disappointing was I had liked a whole lot of stuff about this first book, but then it had not really paid off on the romance in the way that I want. And I know that I'm probably different this way because I did come up out of romance, But one thing I've noticed is that a lot of fantasy romance, romantic fantasy, um, YA fantasy, even when there's romance in it, it tends to be pretty romance light. And I want to spell that Lite. It is doesn't dig into the romance feels. And I think that maybe a lot of writers writing fantasy hesitate to dig deep into the really lush parts of romance. There's sex sometimes. These books did not have sex. But I thought that book 2 would then like take me further into that romantic arc and give me the feels, both physical and emotional. And so it was feeling very emotionus interruptus, as it were, that I had not gotten the full, I don't know. I didn't get my climax, people. I did not get my romance climax. And so I was in Las Vegas hanging out at the cabana with Megan and wanting something to read. I picked up another one that was in my TBR. I was very good. I cleared out my TBR and read that book because it did give me some nice sexy thrills, but again, not the full out romance. And there are more books in that series, and I was not feeling compelled to go on. Yeah. So I thought, well, what I need to do is I need to read a romance, capital R. And so I had a Lisa Kleypas on my Kindle for a long time in my TBR. So I am being dutiful, clearing that out. And she, it was called Then Came You. And I had read the second book in this. It's just a 2-book series, The Gamblers. So I had read the second one with Derek Craven, which is called, well, let's find out. Dreaming of You. I mean, how much do you guys love that I can Google the character name? I Googled Derek Craven and it came right up as Dreaming of You, Lisa Kleypas. Um, my agent and I were arguing about how to pronounce her name because when I had lunch with Sarah at a Polycon, Sarah said, I think she referred to us Lisa Kleypas. And I said, is that how you say her name? I mean, it wasn't really an argument. And she said, well, I think it is. And I said, I've always said Kleypas. It could be that I think that's how the argument went because I have it in my head that's Kleypas. And she said, well, I guess I don't know. But so correct me if I'm wrong. We could look. I'm doing a lot of pausing and looking today. So I was right. It's Kleypas. It's funny when I Googled her, one of the things that automatically filled in, I'm always entertained by those things, was what happened to Lisa Kleypas. I believe she's still publishing books. So anyway, for whatever reason, I don't remember why, it was like in fall of 2020, I had read Dreaming of You, really liked it, and then I had bought book 1, Then Came You, because those characters appear in the second book, and I thought, oh, I'd like to read that one, and then I never did. So I just read it, finished it last night, and now I'm doing a reread of Dreaming of You, and it gave me all those romantic feels that I was dying for. It was great. And then I was just really noticing what an excellent author Lisa Kleypas is. I mean, she's just such a polished author. And I really don't read a lot of historical romance anymore. I think I got glutted on it. Um, Regency England, yeah. But wow, she is just she gave me exactly the ride I wanted. It was delightful, absolutely delightful. So I don't know, will I go on a Lisa Kleypas binge? Hard to say, but I wish that I could have more fantasy romance that has more dense romance in it like this. So as a result, Well, I think Dark Wizard was this way. I think all three Bonds of Magic books are a whole lot about Nick and Gabriel's relationship. Tell me if you disagree, but uh, Shadow Wizard, there's a lot of Jadrin and Sully, and I think some of that lushness and passion from Lisa Kleypas are leaking into it, and I feel like this can only be a good thing. So, probably I will not do podcasts on Monday and Tuesday. Uh, maybe I will, but whenever I say maybe I will, it turns into no. So, probably a little bit more vacation. Um, and then otherwise I'll be here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week, probably just blogging on Wednesday. Bubonicon the following weekend if you're local to New Mexico, which I know most of you are not. And then the following weekend, Labor Day weekend, how is it Labor Day weekend already? We'll be in Chicago for Worldcon doing a bunch of programming. Um, so I should probably post my schedule at some point. I always wonder about that. You know, like when you post your conference schedule, I see people putting on social media, but it's like, does anyone really care? Because the people who are going to the conference are going to look up the program, right? And the people who are not going to the conference, who would see it on social media and not in the conference program, are all like, okay, so why post it to social media? I don't know. But I am giving a workshop at Worldcon if you are going. Um, I'm teaching uh, world building from a character driven perspective. So that should be fun. And participating in several panels, doing a reading and a signing. So I might like pimp the reading just so that more than two people show up. It's always the danger with readings at big conferences like that, you know. If you're up against someone else, like at Bubonicon, they do these things that are like 50 minutes with, which is essentially a reading, but you could also like answer questions and stuff. But I'm up against um, 50 minutes with Walter John Williams, and then also uh, a panel with Dorinda Jones and Connie Willis and some others talking about humor. So it's like I just keep saying that for the one or two people that come to my 50 minutes with, I'm just going to say, how about we go over to the humor panel? We'll have more fun. We'll see what happens. So yeah, busy day for me today. So I'm going to go get to it. I hope that you all have a wonderful weekend. I hope you get to have some fun. Um, Let me know. Those of you who read romantic fantasy, fantasy romance, are there ones that have really lush, dense romance in them? Or maybe it's just not something that most people in the genre want. Yeah. Ones that I haven't read. Yeah, I know you don't necessarily know who they are, but yeah. All right. You all have a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you later. Take care. Bye bye.